Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Zombie World deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that's one of my favorite decks to be able to play because there's so many cool ways to be able to build Zombie World, and I've included some really spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Doom King Baller Drop. Doom King is amazing as a 2-of in the deck. This card is the main deck boss monster of the build, that during the standby phase, if there's a face-up card in the field spell zone, and this card's in the grave, you can special summon this card back to your side of the field in defense position, which is a great effect to instantly get this card back on your side of the field. Also, once per chain, when a zombie monster effect is activated, except a copy of Doom King, you can actually activate one of these 2 effects as a quick effect to either negate that effect or banish a monster from the field or the graveyard, which is a really cool ability. We then play a sealed copy of Awalt Mazra. Awalt Mazra is great as a boss monster, and it gives you a little bit of protection as well. As if a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by battle by card effect, you can banish this card from the hand or grave instead. And if this card is banished from the hand or grave, you can special summon this card in defense position, then reduce its level by 1, making this card a level 7, which is really interesting. But it's an amazing card to be able to bring out to your side of the field. We then play a sealed copy of Changshi. Changshi is definitely a 1-of in the deck, and the best target to be able to summon off your copy of Glow Up Bloom is you can easily summon this card out to your side of the field and use its effect that during the main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, which is an amazing effect to be able to use this card with Glow Up Bloom and then be able to send Doom King Baller Drop from your deck to the grave off Changshi's effect. We then play a single copy of Banshee. Banshee is just amazing in the build to be able to play because this card helps you get out your copy of Zombie World, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is one of the most powerful zombie support cards ever printed. This card is amazing in the deck, so it lets you target a face-up monster on the field, discard a card, and if you do, increase that target's level by 1, which is a really cool ability. You can also target a face-up monster on the field, and monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of the turn except zombie monsters, which is not that big of a deal with Zombie World. Also, send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you increase that target's level by 1, letting you level manipulate your monsters to go in for synchro plays, but also the more important part is helping you use this card as a walking foolish burial. We then play a single copy of Gozuki. Gozuki is definitely a 1-of in the build in this deck because this card helps you send your zombie monsters from your deck to the graveyard because this card is a walking foolish burial as well. We then play 2 copies of Mizuki. Mizuki is a monster reborn because you banish this card from your graveyard to be able to bring back a zombie from your graveyard to your side of the field, which is an amazing effect to be able to banish this card and instantly bring back a boss monster. We then play a single copy of Plague Spreader. Plague Spreader is an awesome tuner in the deck that lets you place 1 card from your hand on the top of your deck to special summon this card from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. We play a single copy of Mad Mauler. Mad Mauler counts as Plague Spreader zombie while on the field or in the graveyard, and if this card's in the graveyard, you can actually target a level 6 or higher monster you control, reduce its level by 2. If you do special summon this card, also while this card's on the field, you can't special summon except for zombies, which is not that big of a deal because it's very easy to get this card off the field. We then play 2 copies of Glow Up Bloom. Glow Up Bloom is amazing in the deck as a 2-of. This card is ability, if this card is sent to the grave, you can banish the card from the graveyard to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. Or if Zombie World's on the field, you can actually special summon it from your deck instead, which is an amazing effect to be able to use this card to be able to summon out your copy of Changshi. Then once you use Changshi's ability to send your copy of Doom King on the follow-up standby phase, you'll get your copy of Doom King back on your side of the field, which is an amazing effect to be able to use. The only downside of your copy of Glow Up Bloom is it does lock you into zombie monsters your rest turn, but that's not that big of a deal, as that's usually all we're summoning anyways. We then play 3 copies of Imseti. Imseti is amazing to be able to play in the deck because the Horus engine is so strong in this deck to help you get the exact cards that you need, and all of your Horus monsters share a common effect. If you control King's Sarcophagus, you can special summon them from the graveyard, but Imseti is super unique because you can send this card plus another card from your hand to the graveyard to be able to draw a card and add King's Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand, so that you can use King's Sarcophagus, get the other Horus monsters into the graveyard, so that you can summon out the Zombie Vampire and mill 8 total cards from both players' decks, which is absolutely amazing because you mill 4 from your deck and 4 from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, and then bring a monster back to the field, or go in for some synchro plays using your Horus cards, which is amazing to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Happy. Happy is just a really good name to be able to bring back the graveyard off your copy of King's Sarcophagus. And a single copy of Blessing. Blessing is also really good in the deck as a one-of to be able to basically summon back to your side of the field off the King's Sarcophagus, which is absolutely amazing. I like playing 3 total names in the deck, so you can use them for synchro plays, link plays, or even going in for XZ plays. They're just really good in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is amazing in the build to basically just use this card to stop the opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is amazing in the deck to help you get the exact zombie you need in the graveyard. Then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is amazing just to stop your opponent's hand traps. We then play 3 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World is the most important card in the entire deck, and what the entire deck is actually based around. This card makes all monsters on the field and in the graveyards become zombie monsters. And also, neither player contributes summon monsters except zombie monsters, which is absolutely amazing, just to basically lock down tribute summoning deck. But this card is super cool to be able to play in the deck, because it really messes up your opponent's plays by turning everything on the field and in the graveyard into zombies. We then play 3 copies of King's Sarcophagus. King's Sarcophagus is definitely a 3-of in the build, because this card helps us get our Horus monsters into the graveyard by sending a card from our hand to the grave. We can send a Horus monster from our deck to the graveyard, and then it's up to 4 times per turn we can actually use that effect to get all of our Horus monsters into the graveyard, so we can instantly bring them back off their effects. But this card also has the ability that Horus monsters that you control cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not target them, and also once per turn at the start of the damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send an opponent's monster to the graveyard, which is an amazing ability. We then play 3 copies of Droplet. Droplet is definitely a 3-of in the deck, just to help us get our copies of our zombies into the graveyard, half the attack points of our opponent's monsters, and break the opponent's board by turning the monster's effects off. But with cards like Doom King Baller Drought in the deck, this card is very good to be able to use to basically send cards to the graveyard, so we can bring them back on the follow-up, and zombies want to be in the graveyard, so this card is just an amazing card in the build. We then also play 3 copies of Super Poly. Super Poly is amazing to break the opponent's board, and basically go in for some really powerful boss monsters like Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon, which is just so cool to be able to summon out to her side of the field when you have Zombie World on the field, because it just requires 2 zombies. Plus we have some really good Super Poly targets in the extra deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build, just to stop your opponent's monster effects, and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps, being one of the most powerful trap cards in the entire game. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of the Zombie Vampire. This card is an amazing card to be able to play in this build, because this card is super easy to summon out to the field, and this card is an amazing ability. You can actually detach a material from this card, and then both players send the top 4 cards of their deck to the graveyard. Then we can pick a monster among all those monsters and bring it back to the field, which is such a powerful effect to be able to use to instantly get a monster out on the field. We'll make a single copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. This card is really good in the deck, and just an awesome monster negate that we can easily make in this build. You can also interchange this card out with number 38, which is another option for you guys. And then like a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is really good in the deck overall, because this card is just good in every single deck and a really good option in the build. And then like a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. This card is one of my favorite cards in the game because it's based on Red Eyes and has a really cool ability that during your opponent's turn, a quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in the graveyard, except another copy's card, and special summon it. And if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster that you control to special summon this card, which is an amazing ability to instantly bring this card back to the field. You can play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is just so easy to summon because you don't have to use a tuner to make this card. You use light and dark monsters to make it, and also it just banishes a card all at the field when it's summoned, and it's amazing when you use light and dark to make this card. We then play a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card is really good because it's super easy to banish cards and zombies, so you can get that effect off to basically banish both the card from your opponent's field and graveyard. This card also makes your opponent's monster small because this card for each banished card gains 100 attack and defense, and monster your opponent will lose 100 attack and defense points, and zombies do get banished from time to time in this deck like Mizuki, so this card is really cool in the build. We play a single copy of Skeletal Dragon Felgrand. Felgrand is really good because this card is a walking negate in the deck. We play a single copy of Immortal Dragon because this card can actually level manipulate itself, and it's just really good because during the main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard and do this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster and this card, so you can get the exact zombie you need in the graveyard. And this card is just amazing to build to help you go in for your synchro plays because it's also a tuner. You can play a single copy of the Nether Soul Dragon. Nether Soul Dragon is really good to be able to work with Super Poly with your copy of Zombie World in the field, as it's very easy to make this card by just using 2 zombies on the field. You can play a single copy of Garua and a single copy of Mud Dragon. These cards are amazing in the build to be able to use to basically just step into with your copy of Super Poly to break the opponent's board. You play a single copy of Appaloosa. With the Horus cards in the deck, it's super easy to be able to make a copy of Appaloosa with 4 negates. Play a single copy of Vampire Sucker because sometimes you need the suck, and this card is amazing in the build. This card is so cool in the deck. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is great in the deck. If you don't have this card, you can change it out for a copy of Nightmare Phoenix if you want to, or even a copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is probably a better option in the deck to be able to make because of your copy of IP Masquerade, but this card is a double interruption if you do have it. And then finally, a single copy of Masquerena. Masquerena is really good in the deck to be able to play so that you can make your copy of SP Little Knight, or if you do decide to play a copy of Nightmare Unicorn, that card instead, which is just a really good option. But this card is great to be able to make because you can bring back your copy of Doom King Ballardrot, and once you bring back Ballardrot to your side of the field, you can actually use it as a negate, then use this card with your copy of Ballardrot to be able to make a copy of SP Little Knight or Nightmare Unicorn if you play that card instead. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Zombie World deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially with the Horus cards. It's really fun, and I absolutely love this build of the deck. It's really amazing, and it's just really absolutely crazy how easy it is to swarm the field. So that's going to do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come for our notifications. We'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.